Today is April 26, 3:12 p.m. Meta will be reporting earnings after hours today. So, in this video, we will identify the unusual options we saw today, April 26 on Meta. And then second, we are going to analyze it and see what it's telling us. And third, based on the analysis and the ones that we've been doing in the past few days, we will show you our trades for this earnings on Meta. Okay, so without further ado, let's get right to it. On the options tape, you see here this 222. There was 4,000 of these contracts where they're selling the 170 strike puts and then buying the 300 strike calls. It looks bullish on that tape, and when we when we look at the tape, the chain, it's possible that they are closing orders though. You have to look at the volume here. You'll see that it is less than the open interest, but based on it being an open order, this would be a bullish synthetic trade. You'll see here also this is less than the open interest, so these could be closing orders. And so to get a better, more concrete answer, we look to the next one here, the April 28th. This option expires the day after tomorrow, which is even closer to earnings. So this is even more earnings type of trade. 225 strikes and the 245 call strikes, 2,875 of them. So let's take a look at that one. And when we see this here, you'll see that the 225s here are actually open orders because the 11,000 is greater than the open interest. And also the 245s here, the 7,000 volume here is also greater than the open interest. So it's more likely that these are open orders. Now, when we looked at the options tape, they were colored red. So keep in mind that does not necessarily mean that they were sell orders. Well, right now it actually is not showing up. The 225s are not showing up. However, if we look at the timestamp at that 136, see, sometimes these things don't show up. So you have to monitor it more closely so you know sometimes the data doesn't come in. And so we have a system where we are keeping a very close eye on these unusual options. I believe this one was done at, actually, was it 138? About 138. So let's look at that. Or was it 130? Actually, I think it was 130, 136. Here we are. So, well, actually, that's interesting. Well, it's not showing up. The 225s are missing now because it was there before. So that's something to that. See, we're not even filtering them out. So that's interesting that sometimes when you look at this tape, if you don't have other methods of analyzing this, you miss out on it. Because I mean, if we rewind, if you look back at the video just a few minutes ago, it was actually being shown at 136, right? You saw that 225 coming up, but now it is gone. So that's the thing about these options tapes. Sometimes it actually doesn't show everything unless you have more platforms and more people keeping eye on this. So that's why it's really important. But we know that, as we had just shown, that 225 was actually done, and we know based on this here, it is there, right? It is not. It should be there, even though it is not showing up anymore. Let's see if we can even if we could even filter it and to get it to show up. Kind of curious if we can get it to show up by filtering it right at the 225 mark and putting it for the April 28th. Okay, so it looks like a lot of the let's see if we can filter it out based on the quantity. Yeah, it looks like that. You see how it doesn't quite make sense, because that large amount of contracts, those 2,000, are gone right now and not showing up on the tape. But we know it's there, and so this is why we are also bullish on this, because we believe what they did was they bought this 225s. That's why there's these 11,000 contracts, and then they sold the 245s, which is a bullish call spread here. You'll see that here. This was the analysis that we did a few days ago. If you haven't watched that video, we'll put the link up here. You can also click on that if you have info cards turned on. So this is bullish call spread, and we know that they didn't sell the 225 and the 245. They were both colored red originally when we first looked at the options tape. It's not possible. It doesn't quite make sense to sell two calls that are above the current market price at 209, right? So based on this bullishness and a few days ago of these other bullish trades, we are going with a bullish trade. And so the way we set up our bullish trade was that we sold the 200 strike puts, and then we bought the 195 strike puts. And what that does, well, that's not our complete order, but we can break it up into twos. So this is half of our trade. We are essentially collecting a credit, and then we're using that credit to buy a call spread here on the May 19th. So we'll buy a call spread from that 225 mark that the unusual options were telling us, and then we're going to sell the 230s. So it costs about 135, because that is about the amount of credit we got. We got 157, and then we're taking that and buying 135 for this call spread. So what it looks like, this is the trade in with the four of them all together here. And so it is bullish. As the price goes up, it will be gaining in value. And so this trade has the advantage of having a break even right below that 200 mark, that psychological price level. As long as it doesn't drop below 198.9 by April 28 in 2 days, this trade will be no loss. It will be profitable. And so you'll see here it's above that zero profit loss on the y-axis. Okay, so that's why we like this trade. It is not it has a not negative. It is a positive theta, and so we like how the theta is not negative in these trades, because those last 2 days before expiration, the theta would be really high if you were to just buy a call spread. This call spread here that we believe they bought had such a high negative theta. Look at that, negative 132. So we don't want such a negative theta. And again, this was sort of a fluke here that this 225 does not show up anymore. And so this is why we always want to keep an eye on all of these options constantly, because it shows up. Sometimes it shows up, sometimes it disappears. The system does that sometimes. And so we want to keep a good eye on this and make sure if you are subscribed and hit that bell icon so we can report these, because it may not show up on yours. But early on in this video, when we initially opened up this tape, it was there. And look for that at the 136 second, 58 second mark, 136 minute. And you'll see it. It was there. And I'm not just imagining things. All right. So 40 more minutes, market closes. Going to conclude this video. So if anybody wanted to make any adjustments on their MetaTrade based on these unusual options, they can. Please smash that like button, and good luck on Meta.